Hi there, this is Brent.
And this is Amanda.
We are the Unreliable Narrators.
Here to talk about the strangeness, the mystery, and the wonder of Gene Wolfe's prose.
What is time?
What is memory?
What is a person?
Is this reality?
Where are we?
And do we exist?
Have you ever considered that all your choices are what brought you right here to this very moment?
Episode number 39, A Cabin on the Coast. A Cabin on the Coast was first published in the February 1984 issue of the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction and collected in Endangered Species in 1989 and The Best of Gene Wolfe in 2009. It was nominated for the 1985 Nebula Award for Best Short Story as well as the 1985 Locus Award.
I don't want to actually,
Oh, I want you to actually me. Why do you think I keep you around?
Oh, okay. So first published in English.
Oh, okay.
This is one of the few, I think this might be the only one of his stories. So it was published in German in 1981.
Oh, interesting. A German translation?
Yes.
Wow. So he had it completed for quite a while before it was published.
Mm-hmm. So, and I'm not even going to attempt to.
You're not going to butcher the German name?
Yeah, Torzu den Sternen.
Sure. Yeah. So a German magazine published it first and had it translated. And that's actually a whole area that I know almost nothing about is how many of Wolfe's works have been translated and into how many languages. I know I have Japanese editions of The Wizard Knight in 4 lovely volumes. And I have seen Japanese editions of The Book of the New Sun come up. Yeah. But I'm not sure what else is available in what languages.
I know there's like some Polish, Italian, German.
I've seen Spanish.
French, Spanish.
Yeah.
Japanese, Hungarian.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some others, but I'm monolingual. So
Yes.
I don't. The only reason I know this one is because usually what I usually try to do is I try to track down the first time something was published.
Yes, you do.
And this one stood out to me because as far as I'm aware, this is the only one that was published in a foreign language edition first.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Well, I think we have a lot to talk about with A Cabin on the Coast, but we also have a giveaway announcement to do.
Yes,
and so
I cut you off on that one on the on our WorldCon recording episode.
Yes, we cut that out. So I'm eager to get it in now just to make sure we talk about it. So we announced in, I think it was our Achilles in Vietnam episode, that we would be doing a giveaway of a hardcover of Letters Home. And we have done so. We've already notified the winner via email, so they're not getting the announcement via podcast. We had a number of entries and they were quite interesting. And I very much enjoy reading the responses to the questions that we ask. I don't know, maybe this is just me not wanting to talk into the void, but actually hear back from people about their reading experiences. And a giveaway seems to be a good way to do it. So one entry was so what we'd asked is for people to say what their favorite military SF was. And one listener named Kirk nominated the fifth head of Cerberus as a candidate for military SF with a lengthy and very interesting justification for it. I mean, it was definitely like a short essay, not just a quick email. And I very much enjoyed it. And so, Kirk, if you're listening, I think you should probably go join the Wolfe subreddit and post it there, because I think that's probably the best place to get interaction and engagement on it.
Get some more eyes on it.
Yeah. Another listener, Adrian, talked about how Wolfe's military service may have informed the pacing of his stories. So he quotes the quote, extended periods of boredom punctuated by moments of sheer terror, and says that his sense of the meandering pace of long sections of Wolfe's work and then dramatic things happen, sometimes they're off stage. And that has to do, in his opinion, with sort of the infantryman's eye view of things. And I really liked that observation.
Yeah.
So another listener, Michael, nominated Latro as his favorite military SF. but he said he needs more commentary on it so that he can come to understand it better. And as one of the top 5 Gene Wolfe podcasts, who already has at least a decade and a half's worth of material scheduled, I think somebody else is going to have to take that one up. Although I
we'll
love that series.
We'll get to it
in decade 2. Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, or 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's such a great series. And I taught Herodotus for many years. And so I feel like I might have some insight into those connections, but it's such an interesting series.
Yeah.
And our winner was a listener named Nicholas, and he nominated Starship Troopers, which we had name checked. To be fair, another applicant or another submission said that Starship Troopers was his least favorite. So we got a vote on both sides there. And Nicholas was really interesting. I really appreciated his email because he described his Vietnam vet stepfather and some of the difficulties he had had, but also the healthy corrective he'd given Nicholas to not join the military, and also, just good, strong, sturdy advice about being helpful to his mother and just being a good person. And in that kind of that generation way of being gruff and aggressive, but genuinely helpful. And he also commented that our conversation about the devious shit that kids get up to and the natural and healthy outlet for that energy, he found that encouraging because he works with teens and has teens and or I think he teaches at the university level. So he works with young adults, and hearing that he found helpful. So these are all conversations that, these seem like people that it would be really good to have extended conversations with. So we're going to have another giveaway.
Yes.
So we can get more interesting emails. So congratulations, Nicholas. And if you've entered before, please enter again. If you won recently, maybe wait till the next giveaway to enter again. I use a random number generator to select the winner. This next giveaway is a paperback copy.
Oh, wow. We're going right in. Okay.
Oh, no. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good. Sorry, when you said next, going to have another one, I assumed we were... Nicholas, if you're listening, can you send us a photo of the book on your shelf?
Oh, yes, that would be great.
Yeah.
Or with yourself if you're comfortable doing so.
Yeah.
Well, whatever you send us, we'll post it our Instagram, I think, which we have very few followers on, so who cares? But don't send something you're not comfortable having us show. Okay. No, I want to give away another book right now.
Okay.
I have a small stack of things because if I find Wolfe in the wild, especially if it's moderately affordable, I'll just pick it up so that I can actually give it away in real life or anyway. I picked this up at ReaderCon over a year ago.
Okay.
It was in one of the dealers' booths, and there was only $10 on it. It's a paperback copy of Return to the Whirl. So theoretically, you'll need to come up with the other 2 volumes from the Book of the Short Sun, but it's also signed by Gene Wolfe.
Oh.
So a $10 book, and it's a really good book. If you haven't read it, you should. And this one's autographed by Gene Wolfe. So that'll be our next giveaway. If you have a thought for what you want people to send us in order to enter, you go right ahead. Otherwise, I have a suggestion.
No, you're just springing on this on me with we got signed copies we're just tossing out here now. So I have given it zero thought.
Okay, well, my entry suggestion is that email us that you would like to be entered into the giveaway and let us know who your absolute favorite Wolfe character is and why.
That's a good question.
Okay. Excellent. So sorry for springing that on you, but here we go.
Good bird.
So we know who your favorite character is.
It depends on what day you ask me.
Yes. Is this where we tell listeners that you've domesticated an entire murder of crows?
No, I've only befriended them.
Oh, okay. Sorry. You've only befriended them. They land on your balcony and caw loudly, asking for treats.
Uh-huh. They're quite funny.
They are very good birds.
Yeah.
All right. So back to Cabin on the Coast, which was first published in German in 1981.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this one, just a little bit of a preface. Some of the stuff I want to talk about is more, it's like an abstraction layer above the actual story.
Okay.
So in some ways, I don't think the story is actually about what it seems to be about.
It's not about a cabin on the coast?
Okay. It is, but
Okay.
so, well, I think that the characters do a lot of talking past each other.
That is very Wolfian.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I guess just the 10,000, 52,000 level overview.
Yes.
There's a young man, young woman. They're going to get away out of the public eye.
Yes.
They go to his family's cabin. There's incident where he thinks that she's either run off or drowned.
Yep.
He goes to the police. There's a boat that's been showing up, but also kind of disappearing. He swims out to the boat, and the captain of the boat is like, well, I kidnapped her, but if you give me service, then I will return her.
Yes.
And things will go back and nobody will remember but you.
Yes. That is definitely the 52,000 foot view. An interesting story, right? So I'm not sure what the abstraction layer that you want to talk about is, but just on the narrative level, I find it a very interesting story. You have the young man and the young woman, and they are kind of trying to stay out of the public eye, which you realize is because the young man's father is a senator. Mm-hmm. And there may be some scandal associated with them being together or not.
It seems like, I'm guessing they probably have a strong Catholic background.
Well, yes, there's an Irish name clue for that. They are interacting with each other as in a flirty kind of way. They seem to have an established relationship, but not a secure one. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they're spending time together, having a little bonfire on the beach, drinking a bottle of, was it grocery store wine or gas station wine?
Yeah.
And then he likes to swim in the ocean. She's not a good swimmer, right? So there are lots of interesting details about the arc of their relationship. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll just start here because I don't.
Okay. What is it you really want to talk about?
Well, my fear is I'll get too abstract too quickly.
Okay. Well, I will try to ground you if I can.
What I really want to talk about is I don't think that any of the interaction between this man and woman, I don't think they're actually talking about the same thing.
Okay.
And I think they misunderstand each other. Him because he's attracted to her, and he's the sexual aspect is distracting him, and he thinks she's concerned about other things. I think she knows that I think he's the target of the captain, and I think she knows beforehand or has some indication, and so I think some of their conversation, why it feels a little stilted, is because neither one of them realize that they're not having the same conversation.
Okay, this is really interesting. I like this. I don't think that's abstracted at all. I think that is, I mean, it's a story where a character gets kidnapped by the Fae or aliens, because they're all the same thing, as the narrative tells us. But what you're saying is that the heart of the story, as you see it, is that two people have such a different understanding of the nature of their relationship and the nature of their being in the world that they can't actually communicate with each other. And she's aware of things that he is both unaware of and unaware that she is attuned to.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what is it that's going on?
Okay, so there's a section in the beginning where he turned off the shower, grabbed a towel. It was already damp and a trifle sandy.
Yes.
So he's the only one that's been out swimming, but it's already damp and it's trifly sandy.
Right. So it seems like it's already dried someone off.
Yeah, but she hasn't, because she's not really a good swimmer.
Right.
And there's another in the second paragraph. Lizzie, so this is the girl, was asleep in bed, but awake, sitting up now. It must have been the squeaking of the steps, he thought. So his perspective is the steps are squeaking, and so that's what woke her up. I think that she was already talking to the captain.
Yeah.
When he was out swimming, because the opening of this is it might have been a child's drawing of a ship. He blinked and blinked again. There were masts and sails, surely, one stack, perhaps another. if the ship were really there at all. He went back to his father's beach cottage, climbed the 5 wooden steps, wiped his feet on the cocoa mat.
Mm-hmm.
So after you've, like, these are all kind of details, grounding details, but then after you've read the story and come back, it's like there's little indicators that it's like, well, wait, she's up.
Yeah.
And then the towel's damp and,
Right.
and sandy,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no reason for it to be.
Right.
And then he's kind of like, oh, it's the squeaks on the step.
That woke her up.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So he gets up in the morning. They've come there in the night. They came in there in the night and didn't unpack the car.
Yeah.
Because of being distracted by other things like each other. And then he gets up in the morning and goes for a morning swim and comes back and he's already narrating he is narrating her experience in his mind that she must be woken up by the squeaky stairs.
Mm-hmm.
But we're just locked into his perspective there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also, like, when he's looking at the ship, it's
Yes.
like there's sails or a stack. So
This is a very strange ship.
Yeah.
So the ship appears immediately. It's in the opening, and then it appears again throughout the story. And he says later that he thought it might be some kind of harbinger of doom or something. And at the point where he thinks that the girl may have drowned, that it was some kind of symbol of bad luck. But it's a very strange ship because it has sails, it has a stack as if it were a steam driven or coal-fired vessel.
Mm-hmm.
And then later we find out it also has oars.
Yeah.
And so it has all manner of methods of propulsion. And so he's seeing it in the ocean. He's puzzled by it. So that means that we later find out it's captained by someone who is a fae type creature.
Yeah.
And you're saying that, well, the fae must have been in there and woke her up. And that's why... And so she knows what's going on, and he doesn't.
Uh-huh. So as the story progresses, we get that. So his father, so it's little Ted and big Ted is the... So
Tim, I think.
Tim, sorry.
Yeah. Timothy Ryan Neal, or Ryan Timothy.
I don't know why I said Ted.
That's okay.
my mind gets ahead of me sometimes.
Yes.
So with...
Well, actually,
yeah,
it's Tim.
I had that
Big
coming.
Tim. Yeah.
So we have Big Tim and Little Tim.
Yeah.
So in the narrative, we get that Big Tim is a 7th son.
Yes.
And that's a fairly, in fairy mythology, religion, folklore, whatever you want to call it, like a 7th son has abilities.
Yes, unique powers.
Yeah. And so whether those are, like, sometimes they can see fairies, sometimes they can interact with, sometimes they have a gift of healing or second sight, or there's an old story, and I don't remember where I read this now. I was trying to find it, but where if somebody made a circle with their arm, like put their hand on their hip, and depending if it was the right or left, somebody could look through the circle of their arm and they could see the other world.
Right.
And sometimes also, like, Christian ministers had that ability. But then if you're the 7th son of a 7th son,
right,
like that power gets magnified.
Yes.
Now, depending on the tradition, like some explicitly say that it has to be all sons, so you can't have any daughters in between.
Right.
So then there's a question here, like, well, he does have 2 sisters.
Right.
But then also there's that's not the case in all of the, as with much fairy stuff and folklore, it's very, like,
well, none
viable.
of this is so. Sorry, this is just kind of an aside here. But what you're talking about here is a frustration I've had with discourse around Tolkien's mythology, where Tolkien describes a situation or a power or a reality of his world. And then in the fandom discourse, you get somebody asking for, how does the ring do this? How did Sauron do that? How did Sauron put his power into the ring? If you had taken the ring and put it on a gerbil and had Frodo carry the gerbil, he wouldn't have had the corrupting power, because when Sam carries Frodo, he doesn't seem to feel like all of these, not just why didn't the eagles fly them to Mordor kind of nonsense, but all kinds of layers of trying to, okay, what is the nature of Gandalf's power? What is the mechanism of it?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the seventh son mythology, this seems to hit, and in fact, in my notes for the story, there are many ways that the story seems to represent this idea to me, which is that the ambiguity is kind of the point.
Yeah.
Because the nature of reality is such that we can't understand it fully, and we cannot come up with a mechanistic explanation for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so how does the seventh son thing work? And does it have to be all sons? And did all seven of them have to be alive at the time? So Orson Scott Card does this.
Uh-huh.
He makes a whole technical scenario to make a seventh son a true seventh son, because he's birthed in the few seconds before his oldest brother drowns to death.
Yeah.
And then there's a witch, basically, that can tell us that is in fact what happened. So then we know that this seventh son has magical ability. Well, in the mythology and in the nature of the universe, that shit doesn't matter.
No.
Is it a seventh son? In some sense, yes. Okay. They have some kind of powers. What powers? How's the mechanism of it? I don't know. I kind of think that this mythology arises because it's miraculous to have a seventh son.
Yeah.
Like on so many levels. It's miraculous in historical times for a seventh child to be born to the same woman. It's miraculous for, just the statistical odds of 7 same-gendered children, that's a pretty remarkable situation to have 7 same-gendered children in 7 births or however many.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know, this is me wandering off into biological reality. It's actually harder on a woman's body to give birth to a boy than to a girl, because the presence of the Y chromosome in her body causes there are different levels of reaction, and it is a foreign substance. And the more male children that a woman has, the more her body tries to bathe that male child in estrogen in order to suppress the testosterone in her womb. So I don't know, how does any of this work? Why does any of this work? Why is it miraculous? Because it's freaking miraculous for a seventh son to be born.
Yeah.
And don't get me off on this mechanistic explanation of it.
Oh, yeah. People are like, well, how did Gandalf's power work? And it's like,
he's Gandalf.
You ate your breakfast this morning. Explain to me how the Krebs cycle and the sodium channels work, and how the osteoplates and osteoblasts build your bones and move them.
And meanwhile, explain the microbiome of your large intestine and how that functions.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, you can't, but you depend on that and live. And
which is why, lots of people enjoy these things, but overly mechanistic magic systems are, different styles of magic can be interesting because the different styles of implementation and the different ways that the costs of magic are borne by characters, all of that is interesting, or can be interesting, but extreme mechanistic explanations, especially ones that are very sort of formula-based and the character's power relies on what's functionally knowledge of chemistry, very boring to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, seventh son of a seventh son.
And then the other section here so this is the next morning, and I'd marked this out, and my question here is, she knew what? And so she knew, didn't she? Said Lizzie. And this is where they're talking about, he thinks that they're talking about the fact that his dad was gone all the time. For a moment, he did not understand what she meant. Now go and get some more wood, only don't wear yourself out, because when you come back, we're going to take care of that little thing that's bothering you. And Well, but this. So for a moment, he did not understand what she meant.
Mm-hmm.
So the implication is he thinks he understood what she was like. She knew, didn't she? And then he's distracted. This has been a reoccurring thing. Like he's distracted by her breasts. She's flirting. They have they're eating a hot dog, and he's making a suggestive innuendo to her.
Yes, about the substantial sandwich.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you get he's very distracted. So he considers his mom knew, didn't she? And he's like, well, wait, what? And so this is another thing where I think just previously we had the section about, oh, my dad's a seventh son and I am. And I think she kind of already knew that, but she knows something that he doesn't, and she thinks he knows it, but he really doesn't. And he's so distracted by the flirty,
they're going to have sex on the beach.
Yeah.
And that's exciting.
Yes. And so he doesn't give it a second thought. It's just kind of like, oh, do.
Yes.
And he's not considering what she's actually saying. And so then there's another section here where he's talking with the cop. When he joins the captain, we don't really know what he's doing, but he's like lying, he's thieving, he's misdirecting, he's doing a bunch of, but he's not entirely sure what it is. So then we have this cop that enters the
okay, well, you're just for listeners' sake, like you're kind of skipping back and forth in time here.
Yeah.
So, what's happened in the narrative? They had that first night, the morning. Then that night they have a bonfire, and he eventually carries her back up to the house. When he wakes up the next morning, she's gone, and he starts to worry almost right away. But he tries to tell himself it's okay. Then he goes to he goes into town and tells the cop that she's missing, and the cop starts talking to him.
Yeah, and the cop is somewhat dismissive. Like he does gotta wait 24 hours in case she should show up.
Which is a myth.
And so part of me is like, well, did Wolfe know that when he wrote it?
Right.
Or this is always a thing where it's like, is this a clue? Is he going into a trope?
Or is this a small town cop actually doesn't even know?
Yeah. And so he's like, well, we'll keep you and the senator's name out. And then if she washes up,
if it looks like she's been murdered, we're going to have to investigate that because you would be the prime suspect.
Yeah. And so at the end, he says, the current here runs along the coast. You probably know that. Nobody ought to go swimming without somebody else around. But sometimes it seems like everybody does that. We lose a dozen or so a year, maybe 4 or 5 cases, we find them. That's all.
Yeah.
So then part of my question is like, oh, this cop shows up, and then it's like, we already know that this ferry captain is enlisting people to do his work.
Yeah.
But then we have a cop who's conveniently here to it's like, well, this happens all the time.
Yeah.
Like he's literally telling us this happens all the time.
Yeah, he is.
But then he's kind of explaining it away, like, oh, well, the current.
The thing that struck me about that conversation with the cop was that he says she couldn't have been kidnapped from right beside you. Like, so he brings up the idea of kidnapping and says she couldn't have been kidnapped from right beside you. And we know that she made a big deal about how he shouldn't go swimming naked. He should put trunks on. And she has a bathing suit, but her bathing suit is there. So we're like, we don't think she went swimming naked. The cop says she couldn't have been kidnapped. She'd have made a fuss. She's gone. I think that the captain came and the fae creature came and took her from the cabin. Yeah.
Then whether she went willingly or
and I think that the cops, she couldn't have been kidnapped. You'd have heard something. Is the cop knows something here. And then we only recover 4 or 5. It's really only 4 or 5 of them that drowned. Of the dozen every year, 6 or 7 of them are kidnapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when he actually goes out and is on the boat.
Yeah, because he goes down to the shore and he sees it and decides to swim for it because it was appearing and disappearing. And he figures he'll just keep going toward it. And he knows that if it just stays out of reach, he'll die trying to reach it. He says he'll drown, but if it disappears, he can turn around and swim back. But it doesn't disappear. He's able to grab a hold of an oar.
And that's where we get like a little more of that. What time period is this boat?
Yes. What kind of boat is this? If it has sails and oars and stacks.
Mm-hmm. Part of it's like it feels like it's conveniently manifesting whatever it needs to at the time.
Right.
Maybe it's a technology, but it's a magic boat.
Yeah. Well, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. I think somebody smart said that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he swims out to it and he gets on it. And then there's a dark shape, and then the dark shape resolves itself into the captain, sitting on a dais, which is what a king does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few sections in here where he makes some offhand references, and there's no need to go down the whole rabbit hole I did. But so there's like two competing theories in folklore, and really kind of biblical studies too, where it's the old gods were humans that had been elevated.
Yes.
So, like, for example, Hercules he was a strong man, and the stories just kept building up, and eventually he became like kind of a demigod. And so that's like the gods were humans. And then the other one is that the old gods, they get demoted. So they either become like angels or very strong kings or like heroes of old. Mm-hmm. And this comes up a lot in studying world mythologies, but also like in biblical studies where you like definitely in Genesis where it's like, oh, well, was Nimrod, says he's a mighty hunter, but then it's
right.
And you know, all those other characters from very far in the past. There's the question like, well, were they originally a god and got demoted? Were they originally human and were promoted to a god? In the storytelling? And they're playing with some of this here in the Irish mythology.
Right.
And on top of that, Irish mythology also plays with that where they have different, it's like, oh, these were different waves of migrations, and some of these were,
right.
Some of these people became certain courts of the fairies. Some of these people were pygmies, or maybe they lived underground, or
right.
Some of these people were gods, but we overthrew them.
Yeah.
So on top of this kind of this modern interpretation, you have like Irish mythology predicting where some of this modern conversation is going to go, and then actually just having it in their mythology.
Well, and tied to their, so tied to the land and their history. And I mean, I'm afraid this is going to sound like explaining away that, and I don't mean it like this at all, but an island people who were repeatedly invaded, having this pattern of go to ground, go to the land, and hide, and then come out or not. There's a whole, just on a literal human historical level, this pattern that's in the mythology is a part of the lived experience, the epigenetic history of the Irish people.
So the captain here, and Daniel O'Donoghue.
Yes.
I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah. You're not saying it Gaelic, but I don't know how to say it Gaelic either.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
He's sitting there. He's got a lit pipe. Mm-hmm. He's somewhat playing into these super generic Irish stereotypes.
Yes. And because our protagonist's name is Ryan Timothy Neal, which is a very Irish name.
Yeah, very Irish name, and then also like the implied Catholic background. Mm-hmm. And there's a section in here where I want to pull in that I actually found where Wolfe had talked about this, but it's Jacques Vallée, it's Passport to Magonia, specifically that Wolfe references and says, you should read this. Mm-hmm. But one of Jacques Vallée's theories is that UFOs, demons, the fairy, all these things that present itself as otherworldly to us, it's this thing that's there that's alternatively like helping, but also trying to confuse humanity.
Yeah.
Like it's something that's in a symbiotic relationship with us, and it's hard to pin down because it's an intelligence. And I like just the conversation here he has with the captain.
Oh, he clearly calls that out. You know,
Yeah.
basically the djinn, the fairies, the leprechauns, the little green men, we're all the same thing.
Yeah.
He says, the captain says that.
Yes. And so when I originally read that years ago, I was like, wow, this sounds a lot like Jacques Vallée's theory.
Yeah.
And then it was a year or two ago, I actually found a reference in an old zine where Wolfe was referring to Vallée's work. And so then I was like, okay, my intuition was correct like years ago. But yeah, it's like that whole Jen, fairy, little green men, we're all the same.
Right. Yeah. And so then the negotiation that he has with little Tim, he shows up there and he's like, you've got to set her free. And if you don't set her free, like, I know you have her. And if you don't set her free, I'm going to tear this place apart.
Yeah.
I'm going to destroy the ship. And that seems like an out of nowhere threat. Like, you managed to get on the ship, but it doesn't, there are powers going on here that you do not understand. So how do you think you have the power to do it? Oh, you're the seventh son of a seventh son. So maybe you do. And the captain, he negotiates with him in a way that you would negotiate with someone who very much had something that was stronger than what you had, because he's like, well, you know, she's pretty and you're just a dude. Those were not Gene Wolfe's words. I'm sorry. You're a big hulking man. I guess we can let her go because you'd be here willingly and we can find an unwilling woman anywhere. You know that, right? Which is such a, I mean, that is an illusion with a lot of emotional weight to me.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you know, you have to serve us for 100 years. And then he negotiates it down on his own, like the captain does. He says, okay, I don't want you to be unhappy, so we'll make it 20.
Yeah.
So they wanted him.
And that was my feeling too. And I'm glad you pointed out he's negotiating, but I do think that the ferry captain he's the one that's disadvantaged in this.
Yes.
But because I'm not even sure if he's the protagonist. Since our point of view character doesn't know, and he's been so distracted by all the flirtiness and the innuendos and the sex on the beach, like he hasn't picked up on this. And then it's like he does make a threat.
Yeah.
And the threat isn't brushed off like, yeah, I'd like to see you try.
It's not addressed at all. It's like, oh, I don't want to talk about that for any reason.
Yeah.
At least that's the sense I have.
That's kind of the sense I got too. Like it wasn't and this is not a fair thing because now I'm like origami folding into Wizard Knight, but there's that where the part of the Fae's problem is that they're trying to be worshipped as gods.
Right, when they're beneath
they
humanity.
Should be looking to humanity for how to behave.
Right. I want to sidebar here a little bit. I want to talk about his service under the captain, the 20 years. But you said you don't know if this is our protagonist or not. I think, I don't know if I can defend this, but I think that the Lizzie, our female character, this is a James Tiptree Jr. story, that she's the woman that men don't see.
Okay. I want to hear more about this.
Well, so this isn't an elaborate theory. I think this is just Wolfe wrote her. She understands more than Tim does. She has a better grasp of what's going on. And I think one of the clues is you should wear your swim trunks conversation, because he hears it as don't be naked because people might see you. And he's like, no, we're very isolated here. And then she says, and then he makes it about whether or not a shark is going to come and nip his stuff off. And then he makes it a joke about being castrated.
Yes.
Which is super interesting because he's bringing that up. And I think that she's saying, no, there are like you by going naked into the ocean are exposing yourself to powers that can perceive you. This ties into, mythology and the sexual parts being centers of power.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he's like, oh, the fish have seen it before. And I think she is knowing about the fairy powers. She's knowing about his powers in a way that he's not. And probably because they have a sexual relationship, she understands, oh, he has there's a dimension to him that he's unaware of. Anyway, so I just got a sense of the women men don't see, James Tiptree Jr., that you've got a guy, and I think he has powers, and clearly he manages to do things for the captain in the course of the 20 years. That is what the captain was looking for, but he would not have been able to be tricked into it if he hadn't been kind of a dumbass.
Yes.
He's kind of got the big dumb oaf thing. He seems nice. He's not a bad guy.
No.
He just is a bit oblivious. And that obliviousness is what's exploited by the Fae. And she's alert, oh, your mother knew. Your mother knew that you were the seventh son of a seventh son. And I also think the other layer of that is your mother knew that she was going to die.
Uh-huh.
And she was aware of it before it happened. And she decided to do what she was going to do because that's what mattered. And then I think Lizzie is aware that he has powers that he doesn't know anything about, aware that he has made himself a target.
Mm-hmm.
And her attempt to teach him basic mystical prudence. You do not get in the target of, in the sights of the Fae.
Yeah.
And it fails. And so, yeah. Anyway, I think there's a little the women men don't see going on here.
Yeah. No, and I would agree with that because I think she's very aware.
Yeah.
And I think he was the target all along. And I think the reason why she got mixed up in it was because of him.
Yeah. And this is one of those lovely things that Wolfe often does that's so easy to miss, is that he is reversing, he's doing a gender reversal here that, she's not like riding in on a white horse to rescue him, but he's kind of he's the target of the rapacious desires of another being. And she is attempting to protect him. And he, stupidly goes out into the dark forest, metaphorically, alone.
So it's just the way the story is constructed.
Yeah.
And I think you were understanding the same way I was when I said, well, I'm not even sure if this is the protagonist.
Right.
There's somebody else's actions are being actually effective, but we're stuck in the perspective of somebody who's making up stories about their understanding. It's like, oh, I didn't understand her at first, but then I did. And oh, the steps squeaking are what must have woke her up. And it's like, we're so stuck in his perspective that the real story he doesn't quite get it.
Yeah.
Is my feeling here. And this is where I was like, because it is a bit of an abstraction because there's so many concrete details in here that it's just, the way things work. And it's like, well,
this is just how a Wolfe story works, right? Like you feel the sand under your feet and the cocoa mat and the slightly damp towel. We've all been there, I think. Beach house, lake house, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a love story going on, and they actually seem to really like each other, and there's a warmth and an affection there that's really fun. And buying Italian sausages and roasting them and putting them into French bread in order to make giant hot dogs in buns, and then a little lewd, mild lewd joking about it. And you're drinking extremely cheap wine, red wine, and so you chill it a little bit so it doesn't taste so bad. And like all of these things, you're just there with the story, and then she disappears. And then what alarm bells that might set off for you of, oh, he's a bad person. Oh, they're being followed by bad people. That's why they're trying to hide out. Oh, there's a plot against the senator. Like all of the things that you might think of. No, it's the Fae.
Yeah.
And then it's Wolf. So the Fae are also aliens. And I mean, they call the ship a flying saucer at one point.
Uh-huh.
It's so great.
Yeah. Then I'm just imagining the little saucer with the light underneath it.
Yeah. No, I think that, he's taken away and so, yeah, he does his 20 years of service and we don't get a lot of it. All we get is a fading retrospective memory.
Yeah. And this is where we have a scene break.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, I need to step on you. So he has him lay down.
Yes. It's with the foot on the neck or the foot on the head.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then, it is funny because it's right there when he negotiated it down and it's still like, well, I must put my foot on your head. Then the deal's done. But there's still that kind of, it's like, oh, the deal's done. It feels like he's almost asserting something that he may not have the authority to assert.
Right. But little Tim apparently lays down and has the foot put on him. My theory is that Lizzie negotiated the deal. And so the captain started with 100 years thinking Tim would fight back. Mm-hmm. But the deal, she'd already bargained it down to 20 years. And then he thought he might have to put on a show but then Tim is too dumb to know he could bargain. Anyway, I think that the deal was already prearranged.
Yeah, I could believe that. That fits in with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so those 20 years, we get nothing, and then it's like salt water was in his mouth and his eyes. His lung burst for breath. He revolved in the blue chasm of water, tried to swim, at last exploded, gasping into the air.
Yep, he was underwater somewhere deep.
Yeah, and the king had said he would remember, but the years were already fading.
Yeah.
Drudging, dancing, buying, spying, prying, waylaying, and betraying when he walked in the world of men, serving something that he had never wholly understood. Yeah, so that we don't even get some author, and I suspect there probably are series like this. This could be the bookend of a 40-page or a 40-volume.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's like
the whole epic sweep of that story. That could be. Yeah.
Yeah. And Wolfe cuts all that out and it's like, oh, we got a short story.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, if he'd lived even longer, maybe we could have talked him into turning it into at least a solid, 850-page doorstop kind of book.
But
the exploits of the Seventh Son.
Yeah. We do get, sorry, now you said that and then that you made the comment about Card.
Mm-hmm.
And what I wanted to say is the first book in that series.
Yeah, Seventh
Son. Very well done.
It was. It was so interesting and well done.
Yeah. And then Card, his idea of story and where his interests lie are so at odds with mine.
Yeah.
I feel like he set up a very interesting world.
Yes, he did.
And then he's like, now I'm going to scribble over here in the corner. And you're like, why would... What?
That's not interesting.
Yeah, that's not.
No, this is true. Listeners, we've had this conversation off mic before.
No, I think we may have had it on mic.
And maybe so. But yeah, Seventh Son, it was a very promising story. And even the second book, Red Prophet, I thought was at least somewhat, it was still interesting, dealing with the interesting premises, working them out in somewhat interesting ways, although it was falling off for me. Mm-hmm. And then by Crystal City was just, I was so frustrated.
Yeah. I was very frustrated when he put the intelligence in the golden plow.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah. I was frustrated when he built a temple out of solid blocks of water that each had tiny bits of his blood in them. And then the spiritual experience was walking through it and looking through the clear walls.
Yeah.
That is not I mean, there's at least some blood involved, but it's so diluted in the water, it doesn't really count. And yeah.
You're saying it's like homeopathic Christianity.
Yes, I am. That is exactly what I am saying.
Okay.
It is homeopathic Christianity, and that's a homeopathic Eucharist, and I will now die on this hill that I just realized I was standing on.
Yeah. First book, really good though.
Yeah, no, really good. The idea of making and unmaking, and then the whole scene with the broken leg, so interesting and so well done, and the cutting of the millstone, and the way that the characters just accept that he has this power, and the excuse me, but the bitch slap he gets for misusing his power to direct the bugs to bug his sisters.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. So good.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, back to Wolfe.
Yeah, so
who knows how to finish a series?
Well, yeah. The other aspect here where he's reflecting on, he served something he didn't fully understand. And this is a theme that comes up in Jacques Vallée's work too, where there's like the weird symbiotic aspect of this thing that we can't quite define.
Right.
And sometimes we find ourselves participating in it in ways that we're unaware of, or we think we're doing one thing and it's kind of having us do something else. That's a very common theme in there. But then if you also, like, you can kind of origami that out into like the study of folklore and monsters, where like if you consider that from a literature aspect, it's like you would call these tropes. And so it's, it just kind of depends on who's talking about these subjects. And I find that interesting because it's
right.
And I think Wolfe did too, because he played around a lot with this.
Yeah.
So, but he's serving something he doesn't understand, and he swims back after coming up out of the ocean. He swims back to shore.
Yeah. And then he walks back up to the beach house, to the cabin on the coast. The red car is parked out front, and he goes inside, and Lizzie recognizes him as his father. Oh, Big Tim, you joined us after all.
Yeah, because she gets up, and then she thinks it's going to be him.
Yep. And she's like, oh, little Tim's out swimming. He'll be back in a minute.
Yeah. Then he's shocked, and so he's not saying anything.
Yep.
And then Tim and I, we're going to be married.
Yep.
So
this is a nice Wolfian ending.
And then the Fae, maybe I should ask you here, because I'm assuming, mostly because this is a trope in fairy stories, but I'm assuming that we kind of have a reversal here where he's lived out these, even though time hasn't moved for everybody else, he's been like off somewhere else, and then he comes back and he's aged.
Right. It's been 20 years for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a hard 20 years.
Yeah.
Because he says he doesn't remember ever resting. So yeah, he's aged. Yeah. He's not young Tim anymore. He's not his father. I don't think he's his father. I think she thinks he's his father because he looks like his father.
Yeah.
And this is foreshadowed because he says that he will look like his father because his father looked just like him.
Yeah. When
he started his political campaigns.
Okay. So then my read on that is that like the Fae, even though they were on uneven ground when they were dealing with him, they did kind of get a little bit of a nasty trick in
a typical Fae way. And the ambiguity of it is you don't even know if they cared.
Yeah.
Right? Like he didn't think to negotiate to look young. It may not have been possible, but they won't, no one will remember. Yeah, but you're fundamentally changed. Something happens to you, you're fundamentally changed.
Yeah. And I think that's part of that. There is a line in Paralandra where Ransom is talking to the green woman, and she says something like, I'm so much older and wiser now. And he's like, well, what do you...
After a part of a conversation.
Yeah, after part of a conversation. And we don't always, because the mental, spiritual soul aspect is not visible to us. We only interact with personalities through embodied.
Right.
Like I see facial expressions, I see body movement, I hear tones and voice.
Right.
This is kind of a visual representation. Like a lot of living can happen in a split second.
Yes.
And
that feeling of I'm older now. And in my experience, it comes in moments. It doesn't come, it's not a slowly accumulating feeling over the course of decades. It is a hard moment. In good ways or bad ways, but it is something breaks or shifts and you feel the weight. And this is sometimes quite literal, like you sprain your ankle because you stepped slightly wrong because you're older now and your muscles aren't as strong as they used to be. Or for me, it's much more about like an emotional experience of loss or pain where something had been accumulating over time, but the awareness of it comes in a moment.
Yeah. And I think that this is like a physical manifestation of those things where it's like he's literally lived 20 years.
Right.
Nobody else remembers it.
Right.
And he's showing up and she's like, well, Lizzie's like, well, we're going to be married. But then there's the whole, are we going to? And I kind of assume they're not going to be because I think it's in the best of Gene Wolfe, or maybe it was in the introduction, but he says like, this is a story about somebody who's loved and lost. And I assume you'll recognize this because you've experienced this too.
Right. I mean, my sense is no, that they won't be married because she doesn't remember. So the thing that the Fae offered as a gift is the curse. She doesn't know that happened. So it's sort of a reversal of, I am not going to be able to call up the characters' names, but home fires, where she goes away and is gone for 20 years. And
is it Kip?
I could probably look it up.
Okay, sorry.
Or we could talk about it. But it's an agreed to thing. They're aware of it. She's been gone, functionally because of traveling at high speeds, time traveling. And she comes back still young, but he's aged. But they know and have agreed to it.
Yeah.
And in this case, she doesn't remember, so the gift becomes a curse.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be able, if he can convince her, great. I mean, there's a great line in there about how he could talk about it, but only if he talks about it as if it's a story. But he's not going to be able to explain to her that this happened in a way that she could accept. And even if he could, would she be willing to be with him now that he's 20 years older?
Yeah. Well, and then there's like an aspect in there too where, and I have no basis for this, but because like, was his own power used against him to accomplish all of this? Like even even her forgetting and everything too. And then, then I have questions about the police officer. It's like, was he like a low level, like,
Fae operative?
Yeah. Low level Fae operative, is he somewhat of also like a powerful because he comes across as like well enough, meaning like he doesn't come across as a bad cop.
No, he doesn't. He comes across as somebody who deals with shit and just knows how to handle it.
Yeah.
In his own sort of limited intellectual way.
Yeah. So then you're wondering like, or I'm wondering like, is he some sort of a similar class of being as a seventh son of seventh
Maybe,
son, but his powers being co-opted to also change, like for reasons we don't even know.
Right.
And they're just kind of glossed over.
Right.
But he's waylaying and stealing and doing all sorts of things.
Right.
Because in my mind, it's like, well, there's like several timelines going on here and objectives we have no way of knowing. And then if the flying saucer is also the Fae and the Jinn, and it's like, well, this stuff's been going on for a while.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's kind of gets a little scary to think about in world. So that's what I mean about like abstractions from the story. Like,
no, I don't think of it as an abstraction from the story. I think of it as an interpretation of the story, and these are the implications, and that's just what we do. So
it's true. And I guess part of it's like my hesitation was there's no easy way to go line by line through it.
Oh, yeah. The way we often do.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so it's a great story. Like, if you haven't read it, you probably should have read it before you listen to this.
Highly recommend doing that. We say at the end of the podcast.
Yeah. But the way that it's also, too, it's a wolf story. So even though you know this, everything we've talked about now, you're going to read it. And
then you're going to need to reread it. We know this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do feel like having a sidebar rant about rereading right now and spoilers, but I won't. So.
Okay. Did you have any thoughts or interpretations on the story?
I mean, I think we've covered pretty much everything. I thought I said it earlier, and one of the things that I have recurred to again and again as we've talked about wolf stories, and also as I've read various interpretations of wolf stories, the ambiguity is the point. Meaning matters, and there is meaning in here, and there are better and worse interpretations. Make no bones about that. That there are, this is not a short story about the importance of bass fishing in male culture in the Midwest or whatever. This is very much, there are important meanings that are here and other important meanings that are not here. But when you read Wolfe, and when you read any great literature, interpretations that you come up with are ways into understanding, and that tension that can never quite be resolved in a wolf story, where there's always going to be a detail that you don't fully understand, and something that's not fully resolved, either because he has hidden it so well or because there's a power in the story that's beyond Wolfe's power.
Mm-hmm.
That ambiguity is an invitation to you to explore meaning and deepen your experience of life in the world. I think if I ever meet a seventh son, I'll probably, they are a magical being, and I don't need that to be literal. If there could ever be such a thing as literally magic, but yeah, I don't know. The ambiguity is the point. That's my.
Yeah, there's not a lot of conversation about this story online.
Okay, yeah, I tend to avoid looking for things because I find that prematurely derails me, so I don't know what conversation there is. So
I usually don't either, just because.
Well, we've talked about this. You want to come to it with your understanding, and then if someone else has an understanding that's interesting, then that's something you want to do after we've talked about it.
Yeah, and this one, like some of the frustrations that I have, where people are just like, "Oh, Wolfe's objectifying women," and part of me just wondered,
wait, about this story.
There's aspects of it in here where it's like, oh, it's
something about her breasts and her nipples. I remember that.
Yeah. And then like the flirty innuendos back and forth. And sometimes I'm just like, were people not young? And like at one point, or have they forgot or is the world so different that like we're on screens and we never.
Yeah.
It's like, but
it does not, I mean, I don't know. Don't cancel me for this, people, but it does not seem objectifying to me to have a male character who's in a romantic relationship with a female character noticing her breasts and them being described in a short story. I mean, she's not breasting boobily down the stairs. It's just she sits up in bed after, they made love the night before. They're planning to get married, and he's naked and she's naked, and he notices. And if we were in her perspective,
thanks for listening. We're now canceled. We had a good run.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But with this one, it's like that, and I don't even want to say the distraction of being an embodied being, but the sensory details of being an embodied being, even is overloading him, because when he walks in, it's like the steps creaked under his weight. So this is after he's been released.
Yeah.
And he wiped the sand from his feet on the cocoa mat. Lizzie was in bed. When she heard the door open, she sat up, then drew up the sheet to cover her breasts. So he's noticing her more so than he's even noticed that he's an old man now.
Yeah.
Or an older man.
Right.
So it's like that layer of sensation from being an embodied being,
Right.
even then it's distracted him from all these other things that's happened. And I think that it's like, is this good or bad? And it's like, why? It's neither. It's what
It's
you
human.
do with it.
Yeah.
It's human, and it's
Yeah.
what you do with it. So
It's human, and it's what you do with it. Both as a person living an embodied life and as a reader. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you could read this and be like, oh, here's the castrating women trope again. And it's like, that's not the thing.
Literally, you have a male character making a joke about being castrated by a shark. I don't know. It's what you do with it, I guess. Yeah.
So
it's characters caught up in things that they are powers that are beyond their control. Even sometimes their own powers are beyond their control.
Yeah.
We like to think that we know what we're doing and we have control over ourselves and our lives. And it should be perfectly obvious to us all by now that is pure fantasy.
Yeah. Well, and maybe this would be a good bookend, because I talked about in folklore and in biblical studies, you get the gods get demoted and humans get promoted. But I mean, there's an aspect of that in the Bible too, because in one of the Psalms where God goes before the council of gods, or what we'd call like archangels, or ones that are, he's like, you're going to die like the people because you were doing things poorly.
Yeah.
And you were misleading them and you're harming them. And so here we get the gods of the nations are being demoted and they're going to die. And then literally we get Jesus like, you are gods. Like
we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have powers beyond our comprehension and understanding, and it's what you do with it. I don't know if I have anything else I want to say, but I enjoy this story. So.
As is always the case with Wolfe, I mean, there are stories of his I enjoy more than others, but I very much enjoyed the story, and talking about it has made me enjoy it more. Yeah.
Do you have a quote on this one?
I do. I always have a quote.
Well, you didn't have one for the Worldcon, which I didn't really expect. But.
Okay. The Unreliable Narrators are Amanda Patchen and Brent Towle. And as Gene Wolfe said, we have, each of us in the darkest cellars of our minds, a counter at which we struggle to repay the debts of the past with the debased currency of the present.